I look at Yair Rodriguez and I look at Volkanovski. I am watching one of the great rope-a-dopes of all time. And do you guys know that expression, rope-a-dope? Muhammad Ali, was it against George Foreman? But Muhammad Ali is on the ropes. He's literally on the ropes, and he's fading. If those ropes weren't holding him up, he'd already be down. He's done. He is he's bobbing. He's going this way. He's on the ropes. He can't get off. He's stuck. He's getting pummeled. George Foreman used all of his energy. He fell for it. He thought that Muhammad Ali was in trouble. He thought that he was in danger. Muhammad Ali was pretending. He was acting. He was performing for George. So George went for the kill. There's an expression in fighting. It might be the truest of any expression in fighting. If you go for the finish, you will not win the decision. And George Foreman right there against those ropes went for the finish. Rope-a-dope. In this case, George is the dope, right? But that theory is very true. I watched Kenny Monday do this in a wrestling match against Pat Smith. I watched George Masvidal. I submit for you, George Masvidal and the flying knee against Ben Askren did not have near as much to do with that 5 seconds in the cage that you all remember so clearly. It had to do with fight week. The entire week, George Masvidal, and George hadn't done this before. You've seen George do this since it's the first time he ever did it. Everywhere he went, hands behind his back. Everywhere he went. He'd be walking around the hotel. Some fan had filmed it on an iPhone, put it up on his social media page. There's George Masvidal with his hands behind his back. Anytime he came face to face with Ben Askren, there's George Masvidal. He's got his hands behind his back. When he got in the cage that night, he's got his hands behind his back. He kept them behind his back till the referee yelled, "Go!" Because he was signifying, I'm of no threat to you. That's what he signified. That's what he told Ben Askren. That's what his body language told Ben Askren for a week. I'm of no threat to you. And he wasn't. He didn't burn any energy. He didn't have a real busy fight week. He just kind of moved around, went through the motions, said a few words. When they said go, boom, we had this rope-a-dope situation. We're seeing this right now. I don't know that it'll affect the fight, by the way, or at least the outcome. I believe Volkanovski is the best by a gap. If Volkanovski was to underperform or his opponent was to overperform, we don't actually know the answer of how big that gap is, but it might be big enough. It might be big enough, but I don't want you to miss what's going on because Yair Rodriguez put a strategy out just less than 2 years ago, and it was the opposite of any strategy of somebody who took their career from one of the boys to the champion of the world. Which happens to be what Yair Rodriguez is right now, by the way. I mean, I feel like that keeps on getting lost. Volk was going for champ, and he's the reigning featherweight champion, and I mean, we can keep playing this game. We can keep on putting words in front of it. It still ends with world champion. Featherweight, world champion. 2-division, world champion. Interim, world champion. It's a very interesting thing. And 2 years ago, Yair Rodriguez went into mode where he was going to go unnoticed. Where he wasn't going to talk about things and he wasn't going to build things. That's the opposite of anybody who's propelled their career. I've never seen it work before from a marketing standpoint. There was a lot of happenstance. I don't know that Yair's recipe is one that you could copy. If you were to take the time to observe it, see what he's doing and how he did it, I don't know that it's one that you would want to mimic. But I will share for you nonetheless. Yair Rodriguez has been dismissed by you guys. He is a 3-1 dog. I've been waiting for that line to move. When there was a hypothetical line, when it was rumored for fight week, when it was clear that these two were going to match up, DraftKings did a line. It was 3-1 then. It's 3-1 right now, guys. A little stronger than that, by the way. Close enough, we'll call it 3-1. It's never moved. Which means either you don't agree that what I'm saying is meaningful, or you haven't realized it yet. The word on Yair Rodriguez from the day he got into that cage is what a trick and puzzle he is on his feet. I don't think that you could name a knockout better than what Yair Rodriguez did with 1 second left against the zombie. I believe that to be the greatest knockout of all time. And many of you don't think of it that way. Many of you in your mind, you would flash to Pro Cop against Gonzaga, just for example. But I believe it was Yair's. And the only reason I bring that up, and I bring up that tricky striking, all the respect that you have for striking, as it pertains to Yair, he won his last 2 fights. One was over the most decorated Gracie black belt still competing. The other was in a world championship fight, and he won them both on the ground. And Yair has worked so hard to make sure that you forget that. Yair has a plan. He's executing his plan right now. He laid it out 2 years ago. He knew it was going to lead to this moment. It's exactly what he planned for. I think that gives him an edge. And moreover, I believe if you guys went into it in 3-1 and that not moving is very relevant. It's very relevant. You haven't bought into it. But if you haven't, you guys are the greatest pulse. You are the greatest voice. You're the greatest opinion group. Truly, you're so good at this. But if you, that's so good at this, didn't catch it, I think there's very good reason to believe that Volkanovski also didn't catch it.